Today I'll be teaching you all you have to know about atoms and molecules. After watching this video, I'm sure you'll be confident to answering any question and get an A for your upcoming chemistry exam. I'll be covering you this topic with examples and free questions included in the link. So there are 5 main parts to this chapter, and let's get started with part number 1. What is the size of an atom? Before getting to know the size of an atom, we need to know that atom is the simplest unit of an element, and it cannot be seen with a naked eye. So how small an atom is? Can you imagine a grain of a rice? How many atoms do you think is able to fit in a grain? 1 million? 2 million? So all of you are wrong. You can actually fit 50 million hydrogen atoms into one length of a grain. So number 2, what is the structure of an atom? What you have to know is there are 3 subatomic particles in an atom: neutrons, protons, and electrons. Neutrons and protons actually make up the nucleus of an atom, and the electrons actually orbits around them. So electrons actually move around the nucleus at high speeds. So it's similar to how the planet move around the sun in the solar system. Just imagine the nucleus as a sun and Earth is the planet. So neutrons and protons is like the sun, and electrons is like planet Earth, moving round and round it. So what we have to know further about proton, neutrons, electrons is their relative charges. Proton is +1, neutrons is just neutral like the name suggests, electrons is -1, and for the relative mass, proton and neutrons is 1 and electron is much smaller, 1/1840. This may be an interesting number that you have to memorize because it may come out in your MCQ questions. As for the relative position, protons and neutrons belongs within the nucleus while electrons orbits around the nucleus. So in the atom, what you have to know is the number of protons actually equals to the number of electrons. Thus, the positive and negative charges in the atom cancel out each other. Hence, atoms is said to be electrically neutral. Neutrons is neutral, hence it does not contribute to the overcharge of an atom. So how do we find the number of neutrons? Simply take the atomic mass, which is number 5 below the element in the periodic table, subtract it with the number of protons, which is number found above the element in the periodic table, and you get the number of neutrons. To find out more, you can watch another video that is dedicated just to this topic. So number 3, how can the number of protons in the element be used to identify an element? So what you have to know is no 2 elements can have the same number of protons in their atoms. This is similar to the human DNA. No 2 humans can have the same DNA. So let us look at 2 elements, nickel and copper. Nickel has 28 protons while copper has 29 protons. Even though there are only 1 proton difference, they actually look very different. So nickel is silverish in color while copper is brownish copperish in color. They also have very different chemical characteristics. So before we move on to the third part, let's have a fun facts about the periodic table. As we all know, elements are arranged in the periodic table in the order of increasing number of protons. So what we have to know is actually periodic table is evolving all the time. New elements has been discovered by scientists in recent years, and you may be the next scientist who discover a new element. So notice there's a gap in the periodic table. This is for element 113. Actually, this element has been discovered already. This element is called newtonium, and it's the first atom that is discovered in Asia by Japanese scientists. How they created it is by the collision of zinc atoms and bismuth atom, and this actually took that group of scientists 9 years and 4 trillion cohesion in total. So what we know is, in order for your scientists, you need to be very patient. So part 4, what is a molecule? So definition of molecule is simple. Molecule is simply made up of 2 or more atoms that are chemically combined together. So take a look at this example. So for this, you'll first see a hydrogen atom when two hydrogen atoms chemically combine together, they actually form hydrogen molecule. And when two hydrogen molecule chemically combine with one oxygen atom, they form water molecules. So molecules can be made up of two similar atoms or can be made up of two or more different atoms of different elements. So how can you be tested with this in the question in the exam? So one of the example may be, state whether each chemical formula represents an element or a compound. So by looking at A, B, C, it's quite easy. You can tell that A is definitely an element because it only contains oxygen atoms, while B and C contains more than one element, hence it became a compound. So the teacher may make it slightly more difficult by not giving you the chemical formula and just giving you the name of the substance. So let's try again. Do you think nitrogen gas is an element or a compound? This may be a giveaway because you can find nitrogen straight from the periodic table and it's one of the common substances that we know of. Ammonia is a compound. Actually, the chemical formula is NH3 and nitric acid is also a compound. So it will be helpful for you to memorize the chemical formula of common substance so you will not be tricked in your next exam. So another question that you'll be expected to be tested in the exam in this topic may be, what is the main difference between an atom and a molecule? And explain it by using appropriate example. So when you see this kind of question in the exam, do not panic, just remember the definition. So the answer will be something like this. An atom is the simplest unit of an element, for example, hydrogen gas. Because this is a comparison question, the word wow is important because it shows that I'm making a comparison. So wow molecule is made up of two or more atoms that are chemically combined together, for example, water molecule. So lastly, what are some applications of atomic technology? If you have watched this video up to now, congratulations. And are you wondering why are we learning so much about atoms and molecules and what is the real life application? Actually, it's quite important. In Singapore, there was a chemist that's able to golden plate a living orchid and they actually sell this at a premium price. This may be a way for you to become the next millionaire. Or if you are a very passionate person, you know that if you know enough about the atoms, actually some atoms can be used in the medical field like your X-ray and MRI technology. So if you have learned something in this video, please click like, subscribe and stay tuned for our next video. Thank you.